Hey everybody, Bilski here. Just wanted to make this quick video. I thought I was going to be able to get audio while I was recording it originally, but I recorded video but no audio. But here you go. Uh, this is just a little preview of the 83-84 Sixers retro season that I'll be doing. I wanted to show you some of the schedule here as we got the Bullets coming up today, and I'm going to do a double shot with the Bullets and then the Pacers coming up. You're going to see that double shot today, a little bit later this afternoon. Uh, so I was going to play last night, but we had my son's Little League game, and that was the final game of the season. And of course, the game one of the World Series with the Phillies. And at the end of the day, I was just a little bit too tuckered out, so I did not really feel like playing a game. I just felt like sleeping. But be that as it may, we're going to do a double shot today on, and as you can see, the schedule. Sort of rounds out the way it did. The actual 2022 calendar is almost a mirror image of the 1983 calendar, 84 calendar. So we'll do the Bullets at the Spectrum, then we'll move on to Indianapolis to face the Pacers. It'll be coming up just a little bit later today. And as the video progresses here, we're going to move on and show you some of the rosters. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes. But you'll see this is just the first month and a half, 2 months, as we'll go into the front office here and we'll look at the roster. Here you see the man himself, Moses Malone, Dr. J, Andrew Toney, the six-man Bobby Jones, Maurice Cheeks, Mark Ivaroni, young Sedale Threatt, who started his career with the Sixers, but he has been on the other teams such as the Chicago Bulls, Supersonics, to name a few teams there. Clint Richardson, another stalwart, Franklin Edwards, Sam Williams, Mark McNamara, who really will not be on the Sixers much longer. He's going to be on the San Antonio Spurs moving on into the season. But he's on here for now. I decided to keep him. In fact, that was a created character. Admittedly, I downloaded these rosters. I'll have to get the name of the creator. It's like a hybrid of several creators, but two of them. There's Clem Johnson. He's the backup center for Moses. Leo Routens, Wes Matthews, and Charles Jones rounds out the roster. So just wanted to give you a preview here of all the familiar, some non-familiar, but mostly familiar faces on that defending championship team. The Sixers won the championship the 82-83 season. So due in large part to the acquisition of that man right there, Moses Malone. He was brought over from Houston, much like Pete Rose was to the Phillies 3 years prior to this, the 1980 World Series. When they got Moses Malone, that was really the crowning blow, so to speak. That really put him over the top and gave him real solid, physical, powerful presence up front in the middle, in the paint, especially with rebounds, and he could just do it all. So Moses Malone was a huge piece. Him and Doc and Andrew and Mo and Ivaroni, Jones. Those are really the stalwarts of the team. The starting five is Malone, Irving, Toney, Cheeks, and Ivaroni. That'll be the starting five coming up, and you'll see some of the major players in the NBA at that time: Bird, Malone, Irving, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Got Isaiah Thomas in there, George Gervin, some other. Robert Parrish is down there somewhere. So those are just some of the familiar faces of the era that was part of the NBA back then. There's Isaiah Thomas, Sidney Moncrief, Robert Parrish from the Celts, Mark Aguirre, Robert King from the Knicks. So it's kind of strange too, because this season the draft has not happened yet. There's Jeff Ruland. He'll wind up becoming a Sixer. In fact, in a very obscure and very strange move, Harold Katz, the Sixers owner, would actually trade Moses to the Bullets for this guy. And I believe Jeff Malone. Rick Mahorn, I don't know if he was part of that deal or not, but there's Jeff Malone here. I thought maybe Cliff Robinson was on it, but he's not on this team. But I'm pretty sure that I know Ruland winds up becoming the Sixers center. I never understood why. I think that's the going thought at the time was Moses was getting too old, which I don't know how that could possibly be. There's Rick Mahorn. known for his time on the Pistons, the Bad Boys, in the mid to late 80s. There's Jeff Malone, who I do believe becomes a Sixer as well. I don't know who this Tom McMillan character is. But again, just going through the rosters here, just giving you an idea of who you'll be seeing in this retro 1983-84 season. Here's the Bulls pre-Jordan, which, by the way, in this particular draft I mentioned, he will be part of that draft. So it won't be too long before Michael Jordan will be on that team. I will actually be doing that draft. And of course, notwithstanding that, a very familiar face, Charles Barkley, will be joining the Phillies, the 76ers, coming up very shortly as well in that draft. So you got the San Diego Clippers before they moved to Los Angeles. It's kind of strange. There's Doc Rivers, who was on the familiar cast with Dominique Wilkins on Tree Rollins. Now, there's your 76ers head coach in the modern day. But he was on he was the point guard for the Hawks back in the day. And there's Dominique Wilkins, who before Jordan pretty much changed the game forever. This guy was very prolific. He was known to take to the air and do some amazing dunks, but you'll wind up seeing him in some slam dunk contests upcoming. There's the Kansas City Kings, and there's me, sort of. Same name. But no, this is prior to them moving to the Arco Arena in Sacramento. That was the Kings. And there's the Knicks, pre-Patrick Ewing. In fact, he doesn't even join the team, I believe, until after the 85 season. I believe he was still with Georgetown at this point. The very powerful Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers. This era on NBA 2K23 is actually the Bird Magic era, as it was the last of that era and right before the Jordan era began. So it really puts everything in a really cool perspective, because this is the way these rosters looked before all of the very familiar names would wind up joining the ranks in the NBA. Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, just to name a few. There's the New Jersey Nets prior to moving to Brooklyn. They played at the Brendan Byrne Arena in the Meadowlands up in North Jersey there, about 2 hours from where I live. There's Chocolate Thunder Darryl Dawkins, who was known for destroying a backboard. And because of him, they changed the way backboards were made forever, so they were shatterproof, at least for the most part. But Darryl Dawkins, former Sixer as well. There's Denver Nuggets with Alex English, Kiki Vandeweghe, Clark Kellogg, who I believe is a broadcaster now. Pretty sure. There's Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons. There's Bill Laimbeer, Kelly Tripucka, Benny Johnson. Like I said, some of these names that you'll see on here, there's Ralph Sampson. And a funny story about him, he did a virtual coaching, tutoring thing for basketball. And he's based out of Virginia. And we did a virtual basketball training module, if you will, with my son. And Ralph Sampson was in charge of that. He presented it, and you could actually interact with him. And it was really cool getting to meet the man. And then here he is right here as the starting center for the Houston Rockets. So that was pretty cool, seeing Ralph Sampson on a live, it was not a Twitch cast, but it was a live video. We did it on the computer. Doing some virtual basketball coaching with Ralph Sampson. That was pretty cool. But seeing him on here, I showed my son Mr. Ralph, as he knew Mr. Sampson to be. It was really cool seeing him on here. Here's the Spurs pre-David Robinson. There's Mike Dunleavy, who winds up becoming a coach. John Paxson. I think John Paxson becomes a Bull, if I'm not mistaken. But you'll notice a lot of players on these teams in the 90s. Those are generic players. These are all generic players here. There's George Gervin. So if you see like 91, 90, 89, whatever, most of the 90s are generic players. They just did it to fill roster spots. There are a lot of players who did not have... NBA 2K clearly didn't have the rights to their names, so they just threw some generic players in there to fill the rosters. There's the Phoenix Suns. Not really. Larry Nance is really the only one from that team that I remember. Walter Davis. There's the Sonics. Tom Chambers, Fred Brown, Danny Vrains, who I believe was a Sixer at one point. There's Jim Paxton. And there is Clyde the Glide Drexler, who was the more familiar face on the Portland Trail Blazers in that era. Golden State Warriors, Eric Sleepy Floyd, Joe Barry Carroll. This is a long way before the Steph Curry era. I'll give you that. But I don't even think Steph Curry was born yet at this point. He may have been. But here's the Golden State Warriors. And there's the Celtics with Larry Bird and that cast of characters. So, yeah. So Moses and the boys will be taking to the court a little bit later today. It's going to be a double shot. We're going to do the first game of the Bullets at the Spectrum from last night, and then we're going to move on to Indianapolis to face the Pacers. So I just wanted to let this video out there and just get you prepped for that. We'll be going live in just a little while. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you for Sixers Retro Basketball coming up.